So you want to be able to make money for working on hot rods? In this video, I'm going to give you my personal experience of how I started my shop, share with you my 7 tips of how you could start your shop, with one of the tips being you need to work for free in order to make money. Stick around and I'll explain it all. So first things first, I will share my personal story of how I got my shop started. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Noah Norwood. I'm the Hot Rod Kid on Instagram, as some people may know me. I started my shop in 2020, and by started my shop, I mean I created a logo, posted it on Instagram, and just kind of put it out there for people that I'd like to kind of start a hot rod shop. When I first started, I didn't have a lot of equipment. I just kind of had what I had and really didn't know what to do or how to even get started. I followed some hot rod shops on Instagram. I was able to kind of talk to some people in the industry, but other than that, it was really just a lot of guesswork and just doing whatever I could do to start my shop. Now, fast forward 4 years, 2024, I have 1 full-time employee. My shop has doubled in size. I have currently about 8 projects that I'm working on right now actively with a wait list. I've gotten to go to some of the biggest shows that I've always wanted to, like Grand National Roadster Show, SEMA. I've gotten to meet some of my own personal hot rod icons, and I've gotten to work with some great companies like Bailey Industrial to help them out with metal shaping classes. And I'm really just super grateful for what I've had come to me in the last 4 years. And that's why I'd like to share it with you guys for if you are interested in starting a shop. Here's my 7 tips based off of my own personal experience of what I believe could help you. Some experiences may vary, and I encourage you to talk to other people who own other shops to get their advice as well, but these are my personal 7 tips for what worked for me. Starting off with tip number 1, and that is pick a niche. When you get started in this industry, you're going to have a lot easier time if you narrow down your focus and pick a specific niche of not only the type of car you're working on, but the scope of work that you're going to provide for the customer. I know it might seem counterintuitive at first because you think, I want as much work as possible, so I want to be able to provide as many services as possible. But you're going to be a lot better off if you pick a specific niche that you go after and specifically advertise that that is what you work on. For me personally, I started with metal shaping and fabrication as my specific niche, and it still is today, even though we've expanded the services in our shop. When I started my shop and I picked the niche of metal shaping, it brought me a lot more clientele because people who were coming to me for my specific skill set. Number 2 is going to be build a skill set around that niche. Once you pick the niche that you want to work on as far as the specific scope of work that you're going to do for the car, that is when you can refine your skill set and your tools around that niche. So like, let's say for example, you want to work on hot rods. Rather than just blanketly saying that you're going to build full builds or work on hot rods, a better niche would be maybe you're doing wiring. Once you focus on wiring, you're able to tailor all of your research, your energy, your tools, and your resources to make sure that you're really specifically going to know a lot about wiring and all of the different cars that you're going to wire. People are going to seek out people who specifically have a skill set and the tools to be able to do a specific part of the job. You'd be really surprised at how many people will come to you when all you're doing is just specifically wiring cars or something like that. Pick your niche, build your skill set around the niche, get yourself known for that skill set. Once you start to build up that customer base for that skill set and a lot more people start to hear about you, then you can slowly start to expand your business around that specific skill set. Number 3 is going to be build a social media following. In today's day and age, it is vital that you build a social media following to help promote your shop. That's the biggest way that I got started. And the best part about it is they're all free. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of these different platforms are completely free. Not only are you going to start to build up a community and a following on there, but you're also going to be able to connect with the community for your specific niche that you pick. So let's say that you're, once again, we'll use the example of specializing in wiring hot rods. You're going to be able to find other people from the industry who are also specifically wiring hot rods, and you're going to be able to communicate with them, learn from them, and build a community together to help everybody promote each other. An anecdotal story for me, when I first started my social media, I didn't have a whole lot of followers, but I would post very consistently. I made a post one time about working on this Model A cab. An Instagram account by the name of Mackey's Hot Rods, who I now know to be my good buddy Brian Mackey, he shared it out there in front of his 12,000 followers for everybody to see and kind of put me on blast and promoted me. And it made a huge difference. So not only are you going to be able to find those really cool people like the Brian Mackeys who are going to help promote your brand and just want to help everybody out, but you're also going to build a following for what you're doing. You might not get a customer who's a direct follower of you on Instagram, but what you might get is when one of their friends mentions that they need whatever specific niche that you pick, they're going to say, hey, I follow this guy, and pass the info along. Very vital in this day and age to have a social media following. Coming in at number 4, this kind of goes hand in hand with the social media side of things. When you're very first getting started and you're trying to find customers, the biggest question I get asked all the time is, hey, I want to start a hot rod shop. I just can't find customers. How do I find customers? Work on cars for free using social media. Find a friend, find a person you know that you say, hey, I have this specific niche. I'm trying to build my skill set. And tell them that you will work on their car for free. In trade, you get to promote your work on Instagram. That's exactly what I did. I found a friend who needed some metal work on their Model A cab, and I would just find all of this stuff when I was first getting started. I still needed to build my skill set. I didn't really feel quite comfortable yet with charging somebody, but I wanted to get there, and I wanted to be able to promote to people that I'd like to start doing this kind of work. So the biggest thing that I did is I would work on other friends' cars for free and blast it all over social media to show people what I was capable of and what kind of work I was doing. Not very long after that, I started to have messages, emails, and phone calls coming in of different people who were interested in what I do. So when you're very first getting started, as counterintuitive as it might seem, be humble, work on cars for free before you get paid to show people what you're capable of. If you don't, you're not going to have any type of basis to show your customers or potential customers what you can do. Tip number 5 is going to be, don't use social media. While you have your social media thing going, you need to make sure that you still also have a very large word of mouth presence. Even to this day, so much of my work comes from word of mouth. Print yourself out a box of old school business cards on paper, keep them on you all the time, and pass them out everywhere. When I first got started, I would always keep a stack with me, and if I saw a classic car anywhere, even if I didn't think they were going to be a potential customer, I'd hand them a few business cards, tell them, hey, my name's Noah, I work on cars, I do rust repair and this type of stuff, and I would just leave business cards everywhere. Some other things that I did, I started an open house at my shop. I'd have this big party, I still do it every year, free beer, free hot dogs, and everybody would drive in their hot rods, and we'd have just one big old barbecue hangout completely free, and everybody would come in and see all the work that I've been up to recently. Other things that I would do that a lot of people don't really think about is go to car shows and set up a booth. One of the things that I gained from my first SEMA trip was seeing how professional booths are set up. Nice carpet, nice tables, very professional looking. And I kind of took that example and took it over to the small kind of show circuit that I have around my local area. One of those being, an example, the Portland Swap Meet. For the Portland Swap Meet, I could get a 20 by 20 booth for just $400, which for booth prices is crazy. I'd set up a really nice professional looking booth, bring one of the cars I was in progress working on, a little bare metal project, and I would just advertise out there, hand out a ton of business cards, talk to everybody, and those were a huge deal for me. So go ahead and look at your local show circuit, just the ones surrounding your area. Find everyone that you can go to and set up a booth, and you're normally only going to be spending a couple $100s. My friend Tim Strange told me one time when he was giving me advice on how to start a hot rod shop and how to promote it, he said, look into your budget for the year of how many car shows you can go to, and then double it. Going to car shows, seeing people in person, being able to physically show your work off to other people in person is going to be the biggest way that you're going to be able to gain your customer base. As a side note off of that point, if you're in the very, very beginning stages and you don't have a piece of work to show off for your niche, then what you can do is you can create a small example that's just created for the showpiece. For me, what I would do when I didn't have a whole car to take when I first got started, and sometimes even to this day I'll do it if I don't feel like taking a whole car, I will just metal shape some small panels, some different pieces, and have those little handheld pieces that when people come into my booth, they can pick them up and play around with them and kind of see what I'm able to do. I'll bring some of my metal shaping tools because an anvil or an English wheel, those always kind of attract people's eyes, and I'll bring those into my booth to kind of show off and give an example of what I'm doing without having a whole car there. Tip number 6 that I'm going to give you guys is a little bit of a boring one, but it's very important if you're going to be starting a business or any type of thing like that where you're going to be making money. Make sure that you talk to your local municipality or county and get the proper business licensing, go through the state, and make sure that you do all of the proper legal paperwork that you're going to need to do to start a business. It's very boring. It's my least favorite part of it, but it's actually can be a lot easier than you think. I know for me, I'm in Oregon, and to be able to get an LLC or a business license, it just takes about 5 minutes on the internet, and you pay about $50 to $100 to be able to get that done. So everywhere it's going to be different, so just make sure that you look into that for your own local area. Another tip on that's going to be is you probably are going to want to get some form of insurance. There's a lot of different kinds of insurances out there depending on what exactly you're working on, but make sure that you go talk to an insurance agent, explain to them what you're doing, because not only is that going to cover you, but it's also going to make your new customers feel a lot more at ease when you explain to them you're fully legal, you got insurance, and you're ready to go. Closing things off with tip number 7 goes along with if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Be patient. It is going to take time. I did my shop for a year and a half on nights and weekends while working a full-time job before I was even able to get close to the place to where I could quit my full-time job and do this full-time. So it is going to take time. You just need to be patient with it and stay persistent with it. The hot rod industry is definitely a big industry and it's a growing industry, but just like any business, it is going to take time to be able to grow and scale to where you can sustain yourself on it. Me personally, I'm not completely satisfied yet with how profitable my business is, but I understand that it's going to take time, and if I keep working on it, it's going to get there eventually. So you can follow all of the tips that I've laid out for you in this video, but you just need to remember that the number 1 tip, even though I put it at the end, you have to be patient. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I'm working really hard on growing my YouTube channel, so if you could do me a huge favor and like and subscribe this video, share it, watch some of the other videos, it is going to help me out a ton. My biggest goal right now is to be able to get monetized, and right now I'm about halfway there for subscriber count. I've got a long ways to go for watch hours, so I'm going to do my best to keep putting out weekly videos, or maybe even more than weekly videos. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.